I caught my fiancée cheating in our bed. Last week, I was elated and deeply in love with my fiancée. We'd been together for years, and the news of her pregnancy in May made life feel perfect. As an essential worker, I occasionally travel for my job, but I try to minimize flying if possible. Last week, I managed to leave earlier than planned to surprise my fiancée after an 8-hour drive that turned into 14 due to traffic delays. Upon arriving home around 10:30 p.m., I discovered her and a co-worker, who is one of the anchors at the local news station where she works, in bed together engaging in sexual activity. Despite her attempt to downplay the situation and ask me not to make assumptions, he quickly dressed and left the scene. Leaves. The anger was so intense, it made me see stars. Despite her attempts to address the situation, I refused to listen and ended up staying with a friend for the past 6 days. During a phone call with her yesterday, she mentioned that the incident was a one-time occurrence. She expressed feeling a lack of passion in our relationship, a sentiment that I don't share. It felt like she was trying to rationalize her actions and manipulate my perspective. Her persistent attempts to contact me only fuel my anger, leaving me unsure of what steps to take. We are expecting a child, which complicates matters further as I feel disconnected from her, but know that we will be co-parenting for at least the next 18 years. With no apology from her, only attempts to justify her behavior, I am left feeling conflicted and frustrated. Advice. Regarding the claim of a one-time incident, it is essential not to jump to conclusions and stay cautious. While questioning the paternity of the child may be daunting, it is a valid consideration given the circumstances. Wishing you the best of luck. If she were to deceive you about the baby, it would be a devastating betrayal. Cheating is one thing, but lying about such a significant matter would be a despicable actions are concerning as she is cheating and pregnant, which could potentially harm the unborn child. It is indeed a disturbing situation to contemplate, considering the risks involved. The fact that she notified you in May and the timeline up to July raises doubts about the situation. It is disheartening to think about the potential risks and consequences of such behavior. Ensuring a DNA test is conducted to ascertain paternity is crucial in this scenario. Additionally, if the other person involved is in a relationship, it might be necessary to inform his partner about the situation. It appears that the other man may have a history of engaging with various individuals based on his social media interactions. It is important to address this situation with the necessary steps and precautions to ensure the best possible outcome for all parties involved. Apologies for the delay in providing an update. This past week has been incredibly difficult. I met with my friend's family law attorney early last week, who informed my friend about their affair and threatened to make it public. As a result, my friend was more open about the situation, revealing that they had been involved for over a year. While she believes there is an 85% chance that I am the father of the baby due to always using protection, she wants to wait until the baby is born for a DNA test. The lawyer, however, suspects that the baby may belong to the other man involved based on this information. I have not completely moved out yet, but have relocated most of my belongings to my friend's place. The lawyer suggests that I sell the house rather than allow my friend to buy me out, as he doubts she has the financial means and may deceive me. I appreciate everyone who has reached out with messages and inquiries. I have tried to respond to as many as possible. If you have any further questions, feel free to ask. I remain deeply touched by the outpouring of concern and support from people checking in on me. His message via direct message was very threatening. I am grateful for the support and love I've received during this difficult time. Moving on to the main issue, we have conducted multiple DNA tests, confirming that the baby is indeed mine. He was born a few weeks ago and has brought immense joy into my life. Despite the challenges, he is the best thing that has happened to me. Although the baby's mother and I are not in a relationship, We communicate solely about the well-being of our child. The process of selling our houses is almost finalized, with the closing date approaching soon. There is no need for us to be present at the closing. I am currently residing with a friend, with plans to purchase a new home in the coming months to provide a stable environment for my son and me. I made the decision not to disclose the affair publicly out of respect for our son. However, her employers found out about the situation, leading to her termination. The person she had an affair with is still employed there, and their current relationship status is unknown to me, which I am not concerned about. It seems likely that he has distanced himself from the situation. In response to some of the comments, I understand the differing perspectives on handling such situations. Some may choose to keep things private, while others would prefer to address it publicly. Every individual has their own way of dealing with personal matters. I refuse to let him get away with his actions without facing consequences. As a public figure, he needs to uphold a certain image, and I am determined to shatter that facade. I would likely end up single and be responsible for damaging both of our reputations, at the very least. It's disheartening that deserving comments like yours are not receiving recognition. Why should we protect those who behave despicably? I prioritize shielding my son from this situation, not the other party involved. I cannot bear the thought of him discovering the truth about his mother through an online source. The notion that this was a one-time occurrence is laughable. Who in the history of relationships has ever accepted such a feeble excuse? I am bewildered as to why she thought I would fall for that explanation. It's perplexing that he was not terminated from his position. Perhaps because he is difficult to replace, or maybe he is currently under probation. He doesn't appear to have a significant other, either from what I've seen on his social media pages. He's a player. Follows a lot of local models and NFL cheerleaders. Probably hooks up with them, but nothing serious. Besides my, at the time, pregnant fiancée. Wife cheated with coworker. Now for the next story. 2 years out. Found this site a while ago and read a lot but never signed up until now. Love this subreddit and want to thank everyone here for being supportive, tough, and present for people going through this mess. Many a sleepless night was spent here reading, reading, and thinking some more. Snippets of my horror. Wife cheated with coworker. I found texts, pics, and caught her in lies about traveling for work. All that. She moved in with her mom, and I kept the kids for a while. He dumped her not long after, and she tried to get back together. But I did my homework and was able to successfully petition for primary custody. We have managed a cordial relationship in front of the kids. I don't want to look at her or hear anything she has to say. Even now, our kids are youngish, pre-teenaged, and I'm sure they understand to some degree. But it's been everything I can do to keep them away from any sort of mess from this. But this week was the greatest, brightest week of my life since D-Day. I've had primary custody since D-Day and the papers being signed. But this week, my ex-mother-in-law, a sweet woman who apologized to me time and time again for her daughter's actions, wanted to see them. So we worked it out. I was also asked on a date by the friend of a friend, my first actual date in years. We went out last night. She took me to a small restaurant owned by a friend of hers, asked me about myself and my situation, and let me talk about how I've been feeling for a little bit before we moved past that and talked of other wonderful things. We parted after dinner. She gave me a hug and a kiss on the cheek and told me she had a wonderful time. She even texted me to make. Of course, I made it home safely. I don't usually drive at night. After receiving a message from her expressing her desire to see me again and mentioning that she had a wonderful time, I stood at my kitchen counter, taking a sip of water, and felt a rush of emotions. Memories of 2 years spent feeling weighed down by emotions like hot rocks in my stomach, the burning sensation of anger, jealousy, and pain in my chest, and the heartache of seeing text messages and photos my ex sent to another man flooded my mind. I tried to remain composed as my ex pleaded for reconciliation, not intending to cause me pain. In court, having to explain that my wife had been unfaithful and feeling the judgmental gazes of onlookers made me break down in tears, releasing a tidal wave of built-up emotions: anger, jealousy, pain, hurt, anxiety, regret, and shame. As you traverse the 7 stages of loss outlined by Kubler-Ross, anticipate fluctuations in your emotions and thoughts. The initial shock may have propelled you into a state of survival mode, but now is the time for reflection and healing. Embrace your feelings, seek support from others, and remember that your experiences are valid and normal. Engaging with the valuable resources and content in this community can provide you with additional guidance and reassurance. The circumstances of infidelity, deceit, and anger from your partner have undoubtedly added layers of complexity to your situation. Your ex-partner's decision to leave abruptly while you were pregnant must have been particularly painful. Despite the challenges, it's encouraging to see that he remains involved in his role as a father to your children. Your journey of healing and self-discovery will continue to unfold, and by sharing your story and seeking support, you are taking positive steps towards a brighter future. To my surprise, he suddenly vanished one day without a word of explanation or communication, leaving me and our children to cope with the aftermath. Our 11-year-old daughter, who he has distanced himself from, and our shared 4-year-old son were both left in the dark, unsure of what had happened. It later came to light that he had been involved with a co-worker whom he had reassured me was nothing to worry about. Despite clear evidence such as phone records, he continues to deny any involvement with another woman, even though he had been cheating on me leading up to our separation and is now in a relationship with his affair partner. Just 6 weeks after his departure, he went on a 4-day trip with her, which I discovered and confronted him about, only to be met with further denial and lies. It has become apparent that he will never admit to his infidelity, and while it is difficult to accept, I know that it is ultimately irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. It's clear how we're not together anymore, but why not just say the truth? Before the trip, he was acting sorry and like he was hurting. Now, since then, he is mad at me, yelled at me, told me off as if I'd done something wrong. It's as if I'm the one who left, cheated, and lied, or as if I did something to him. He hasn't reached out since, nor have I. It's clear he's made his choice. I hate how I feel like I did something wrong. Why, after I confront him and he denies it, would he then turn it on me, be mad at me? I don't get it. I need some perspective from you guys to help me understand. Now for the advice. It is what I call counter-blaming. Many people, if they get caught doing something wrong, decide the best defense is a counter-attack. And this is why he blames you. Yes, it's a very weird mindset. I saw it happen to my brother. He came back from university, and his girlfriend, who he had a place with, was furious with him. He couldn't figure out what he was supposed to have done until we found out. Whilst he was away, Feel free to let me know if you need further assistance or clarification. My brother's ex reacted aggressively after being exposed as a cheater, shifting blame onto others, as is often the case in these situations. It's unfortunate that you're going through a similar experience. I can relate, as my spouse also blindsided me with a divorce request, only to later reveal an affair. This individual resorted to gaslighting, emotional abuse, and denial to justify their actions, leaving behind a trail of lies and excuses. It's a tough situation to navigate, but remember that you deserve better treatment than what you've experienced. He even once advised me to be untruthful because he believed I couldn't handle the reality. I found it difficult to accept his unethical and immoral actions. Dealing with the aftermath of the affair and the emotional distress from the abuse was actually more challenging for me than the affair itself. My suggestion is to consider seeking therapy if you are not already. Limit your contact with your ex as much as possible. You may find helpful resources on how to deal with narcissistic behavior, such as Dr. Romani's informative YouTube videos. It seems like he may be clouded by fear, so it's best not to engage in reasoning with someone exhibiting irrational behavior. In my situation, my soon-to-be ex-partner was keen on upholding his public image, and he reacted explosively and angrily when I involved his parents. He attempts to control my schedule, but I firmly refuse. It can be maddening to witness them evade responsibility, distort the truth, and shift blame. It's also frustrating to see their families shield and support this behavior. Just remember that you do not deserve to be in a relationship with someone like this. He likely has unresolved issues that may persist. Ably, never take care of. Stay strong, sis. Yes, I've gone no contact. I guess I expected him to admit it and feel guilty about what he's doing. But he too hasn't made any contact with me since getting angry with me. Another reason he may be mad is that I too revealed the truth to his family while he was on his getaway. His family says they don't want to get in the middle of it, which I understand. But at the same time, if I was doing wrong and my parents were alive to see it, they wouldn't hesitate to tell me I was wrong. I agree with trying to keep the image intact. And that's it for this video, guys. If you have thoughts to share, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like this content. I'll catch you in the next one. Good day.